Welcome back. Now, about 1.4 million women in Kenya need child caregivers. In the country, most children are left under the watch of caregivers running informal home or day centers. The caregivers often lack the skills, support, and recognition they deserve to ensure quality preschool foundation. Producer Rebecca Mwirori filed the following report that looks at the policies around childcare and the importance of early childhood development in growing a healthy nation. Listen in.
Napata mwingine na kupigia mtoto kinapa kwa maasa ni sure bet.
Nani ana chakula?
Childcare economy is a huge economy.
That is actually the biggest investment that a county can make.
A conscious decision has to be made on how these mothers can be supported to put in place what is required to be to have a child care center.
It's 7 a.m. on a Friday morning. Halima Juma, who sells shoes at the Gikomba market in Nairobi, is off to work. But as a daily routine, she has to drop off her child to a home-based daycare facility. In most African settings, women are considered the primary child caregivers. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics 2019 census data, there are at least 9.89 million working women in Kenya, which translates to 50.2% of the working population. About 1.4 million women in urban centers, both in the informal and formal sectors in Kenya, need child caregivers, a service that is offered by nannies or home-based and center-based daycare facilities. In the Female Child Care Workers in Kenya Report 2023, Uthabiti Africa, an organization based in Kenya, identified approximately 5,000 of informal care facilities in Kenya's capital city Nairobi, 2,000 in Kisumu County, and they estimate that there may be as many as 30,000 throughout the country. Shamila Lubuthe, popularly known as Mama Hassan in Majengo Informal Settlement in Nairobi, has been running a home-based daycare facility for the past 10 years.
Nilianza biashara yangu na wazazi watatu wa viatu. Mtoto wa kwanza alikuwa na miezi 6, wa pili miezi 3. Huyu wa tatu alikuwa na mwezi na nusu. Sasa ilikuwa inapiti mamake akuje amnyonyeshe arudi kazi, ama nikamulie niweke nimpatie. Nikaenda hivyo hivyo, wa mama wanaenda wanaambia wengine usikae kwa nyumba, kuna mtu anaweza fanya nini kukusaidia. Nikaenda hivyo mpaka saa hii. Ikafika mahali hata wa mama wa kuchuuza huku chini inapiti walete watoto ndio waende, wakishamaliza kazi wanakuja wanabeba watoto wao wanaenda.
Most working mothers in the informal settlements are casual laborers, meaning they don't have a constant income to afford nannies. But since most of them double up as both breadwinners and primary caregivers, they often leave their children under the care of caregivers running informal home care or daycare centers. The goal of the child caregiving facilities being to provide a safe space for children, most of whom are under the age of 3.
Kabidi nimlete mamata nikatafuta vibarua ngamletea watoi deke kama mpaka mamasa inasaidia mama kuangaliliwa mtoto na kuangaliliwa mtoto vizuri ndio ngalope utoke uende, lakini zitapata mzozo kama mpaka mamasa analea watoto vizuri, hawatolei sauti Yaani ukuja mtoto wako hata kama ni mgonjwa unapata amempeleka hosi.
Niliangalia sana hapa kwa sababu mama alikuwa mwanzo ni rafiki yangu, tumekuwa naye tangu kitambo. Sasa mimi wakati nilikuwa nakuja, nilikuwa naona vile watoto wanaangaliwa, kula wanakula vizuri, ni pahali pasafi. Sasa mimi nikaona kwa sababu najua hakuna shida, ndio nilikuwa nalete mtoto hapa. Nilikuwa namleta kwa sababu nilijua akiwa atakuwa hapa ako sawa, si kama ukienda kule nje uchie mtu, kuna watu unaachia mtoto, alafu ukija unampata mtoto ana njaa, si msafi, akiwekwa labda hapo nje mahali pachafu, ataanza kusumbua tena na ugonjwa, ataanza tena kupeleka hospitali. Ndio kwa sababu niliona hapa ndio mahali panaweza faa.
The first 1,000 days of a child are very important, and in order to ensure that you provide a holistic child growth and development, the cognitive, physical, moral, and spiritual aspects of development have to be observed, and a skilled child caregiver is very key.
The first 1,000 days, we call them also the window of opportunity. They are a window of opportunity because this is where the foundation of a human being is built. We invest so much in doing foundations for houses. We invest so much when we plant trees, we water them, we do all that. That's exactly the analogy that we would liken early childhood development to. To what extent do we invest at that foundation years? Do we take them seriously? And research has shown that if we fail to invest adequately in those years, then the cost of inaction is too high. And some of the cost of inaction even includes, we can explain lack of investment into early childhood development, and even lack of focusing on children in those ages. We can use it to explain so many things, including addiction, including crime, including generally people who are unable to earn as much as their peers, but within the same age, the same role, they went to the same schools, but they cannot earn as much as their peers. It's in early childhood development that children are allowed to explore, children build that creativity, innovativeness. So a child who is not allowed that environment to be innovative and creative by the caregivers is only able to do as much in their adulthood.
The children needs to be involved in playing and stimulation, which means the child needs to have play materials to play with, needs to have a social environment with people who can talk to them, who can sing for them, who can engage them. And what that means, the caregiver who is going to look after these children should have the knowledge and the skills of how to stimulate these children. And for that to happen, ideally, these caregivers should be able to have maybe gotten some kind of training or some form of induction, but that is not the case as we speak.
A lot of children that schools are struggling to deal with today, they are struggling because these children did not get the right care when they were 0 to 3. Because that is when intellectual capabilities are developed. If you fail to develop that at that age, whatever else you do later on is more or less waste of energy and time, because the intellectual development of the child is highest at that age.
Childcare has been a grey area in Kenya. A lot has been done around preschool and early childhood education, but less on childcare.
So county governments take responsibility of nursery schools, ECD centers, because we have focused on education, not the development part. The development part has been left to the parent and to the families, most of whom are overwhelmed by other things, especially in most of our rural areas, most of our informal settlements. It's just poverty that strains parents beyond providing what they know they need to provide. They know they need to provide this child with good nutrition. They know they need to provide this child with proper medical attention so that they are not encumbered from development by diseases. They know that they need to provide this child with sufficient opportunities for play. But the realities in which they live can't allow them.
Childcare is a devolved function, but not all the counties are focused on it. A lot of childcare work has been left to women who run it informally. They are not registered, trained, nor funded. In informal settlements across Kenya, the women running the centers often lack the support and recognition they deserve, since it's a general perception that it is a responsibility for women and childcare does not deserve pay.
A lot of work, and in my experience, what I have come to see is that there are daycares, there's also night cares, there is home-based childcare facilities. So daycares, they're taken care of for a few hours or for many hours while their mothers or parents are away at work, engaged in either casual work or just employment or white collar. Night cares are also there, and night cares are used by people who engage in work at night, whatever kind of work, nursing, and any other job that happens at night. Parents have always used those night care facilities. Now, in all this, they are center-based and they are home-based. So center-based, you find someone who has rented a space or even built a space where specifically that space is for childcare, taking care of children between birth to 3 years, and even 3-4 years, depending on whatever situation that is happening to that child. Home-based is where someone operates such kind of a business or an activity in their own houses. And this is actually, according to what I have learned in the period that I have been working in the childcare space, this is actually the most common, very common, especially in informal settlements where you find someone in their small space, they're taking care of between 5 to 40 children in their houses.
I head to Nairobi's Umoja 3 estate to meet Francisca Ntheke. Francisca was a Sunday school teacher before she opened up her home to children, and with time, took it up as her source of income.
Wakati nilianza daycare, mimi sikuwa na ujuzi wowote wa kuangalia watoto, but ule ujuzi nilikuwa na wao ni kuangalia tu kama Sunday school. Tunakuja tu, tunakaa, tunaimba tu nyimbo za kawaida, tunakula, tunalala, na jioni wanaenda nyumbani. But tulifika wakati nikapatana na organizations zenye zilikuja zikanifundisha kitu ya kwanza, usafi kwa watoto. Na wakati walinifundisha kuhusu usafi kwa watoto, ndio nikachukua hiyo hatua yenyewe. Wakanifundisha pia mtoto hafai kutumia poti nyingine ya mtoto mwingine. Wakaniambia ni vizuri nikae na mtoto akae na poti moja, mtoto mwingine poti moja. Wale wanatumia poti. Na after that, sasa wakanifundisha pia ni vizuri mtoto kukula chakula iliyo bora, iliyo lishe bora.
We wash our hands, wash our hands, wash our hands.
Unlike Mama Hassan, Francisca has received some training and understands the responsibilities that come with taking care of children. She proudly displays some accolades received for her work from different non-governmental organizations that train childcare workers. Despite the incredible work being done at both the home-based and center-based child caregiving spaces, some of the challenges they face include, and are not limited to, low payment by parents, thus inadequate finances to improve their spaces, inadequate skills on quality child care, nutrition, hygiene, record keeping, and business management, inadequate play and learning material, poorly designed spaces that in most cases do not support foundational child development and safety, inability to access loans to enable them to register their facilities, and perhaps the biggest of them all is the unclear policies on the legality of the home-based care facilities.
We have child care spaces owned by individuals. These individuals Of course, they are not trained. But again, do counties have guidelines on who should be able to open a childcare? What should be in that child space to ensure that it is stimulating, it has the right materials? So these are some of the things that we really need to look into to ensure that childcare is made to be child-friendly, but also friendly to the young mothers who are struggling to have their children taken care of, and also to have an opportunity to engage in economic activities to support their families.
Unapata wale watoto wadogo kabisa hawapati lishe bora. Unapata mtoto anapewa chakula ugali na maziwa, na hiyo it is not balanced diet. So kama tunaweza pata ile msaada tu ya chakula kidogo, sisi kama wenye ni very sensitive, walimu very sensitive, juu mtoto akiwa pale chini sisi ndio tunamwangalia, ile tu si kama chekechea, ni kumumold kabisa ili tumpeleke shule. Tumekuwa na challenge, kama serikali ingeingilia tu kati itupe part of the food, na sisi tujaribu kutafuta balance diet, tuongezee hizo zingine balance diet.
Watoto wakiwa wengi hivi pia mali ya kuwaweka ni shida, ya kulala nyumba unaona ni ndogo, mali ya kuweka ni shida.
Mimi nahitaji tu masomo mengi tu sana, maana kuna vitu sijajua vizuri. Certificate sina, ningetaka nitambulike huku kwingine, ndio wengine waniambie fanya hivi. Unaona, nisijifiche huko mashinani, niko chini, hakuna mtu ananitambua. Kuna ule ameleta mtoto, hajamfunga hata pambasi, amefunga tambara. Ile tambara alimfunga usiku, atamleta ikiwa hivyo na nguo. Sasa inapiti hiyo kitu, siwezi kaa na amani, mtoto hawezi kaa na amani. Sasa inapiti hata mimi ile kidogo na nunua pambasi naika hapa, napatilisha huyo mtoto, kama tunguo nachukua nampatilisha na muosha ndio akae asilie. Mtu unamuuliza kwa nini unaleta mtoto bila pambasi, anakwambia sina, na siwezi kaa kwa nyumba, ndakula nini? Sina, na sitamfungia kwa nyumba, ama nimemleta chakula kitu, sikupata kitu ya kula. Unaona sasa. Ama mwingine anakuambia nimeleta mtoto, nimeenda pale naishi nyumba imefungwa, niko na kativika kwa hapa na ikakatuni, sina toisifu yoyote. Sasa gari zikiwa mbili, toli zikiwa mbili, unaona nikitoa ni shida, italeta shida. Hawana. Sasa zingine tunakuanga hapo nje, tunaota jua, tunaenda huko kwa kiwanja hivyo.
And this caregiver needs to know that the play doesn't have to be very expensive. Simple, the caregiver can. I normally see their community health volunteers who even make dolls with old rags, so that at that health facility where they come, there's at least some play space. But then in the house, it doesn't have to be very expensive. Even a spoon, a cup, a colorful one, colorful things, But the most critical thing is a caregiver who is present.
The National Industrial Training Authority, NITA, developed a curriculum framework for caregivers in the year 2002, but it is yet to be fully developed and rolled out.
In terms of enlightening,
It is International Day of Care and Support, and an event is underway at the Tamarind Hotel in Nairobi to commemorate the day. The Office of Women Affairs Advisor under the Office of the President have organized this event.
So, the women are spending about 4.5 hours of their day to do unpaid care and domestic work. Men are spending 54 minutes. So netting out, women are spending 3 hours and 36 minutes more on unpaid care and domestic work than men.
This meeting today sheds a ray of hope in the world of care work and reveals the goodwill from the government. I talked to the President's Advisor on Women Affairs Cabinet Secretary Harriet Chigai.
For as long as we have these conversations, we now get to understand the various challenges that everybody is facing, and then how do we resolve those challenges. The Ministry of Public Service, which is currently being led by CS Aisha Juma, is leading on care work policy. Now, they're here today, and the question then is, with this information that we have unpacked today, how can we place that policy? And all of us will also be there to frame the policy and, if need be, frame the law. So you can see the government is working. The government is pushing us, the political goodwill is there. But who else is supporting the government structure for government to be able to deliver? Now, that then becomes a very key issue that we all need to address. So all of us have to play a role.
Honorable Senators.
There are more interventions from legislators. Mombasa-nominated Senator Miraj Abdullahi has proposed a bill to have 47 daycare facilities in all the counties.
My bill solemnly speaks of giving second chance to the girl child and the care of the infant, as enshrined in Article 53 of the Constitution. As we take back the child parents back to school, nobody is around to take care of the infant babies. So I saw it fit to bring this bill so that we can establish 47 care centers at the county level, where the CEC of Education is going to establish the centers within their counties.
If the bill goes through, the devolved function of early childhood development and education in the country will be on course, and more women will be able to participate in growing the country's GDP as children access quality care. Meanwhile, another over 800 child caregivers running home-based and center-based childcare centers are gathered at the PCA St. Andrew's Church to celebrate the great milestones made. The event has been organized by Kidogo, a network for child caregivers that has been advocating for their recognition and support, as well as quality childcare.
And learned about the importance of the first 1,000 days in the life of a child, and realized that that is actually the biggest investment that a county can make in its population.
Today we gather to celebrate the remarkable work of these individuals whose tireless efforts are fundamental in shaping the lives of our children, particularly in those critical first 1,000 days. It is truly heartwarming to witness the dedication of these childcare entrepreneurs who provide a nurturing haven for our little ones while their parents are engaged in work and other pursuits. Asanteni sana. I am so proud of you. I am so inspired by you. You are the ones building this nation.
Top on the agenda is licensing of the facilities.
If these daycares were able to afford the licensure they need to be able to be operating formally, then the professionalism could go alongside that. So things such as the safety of the child, which are already part of the training that we do, could be a bigger focus. And again, in terms of the number of daycares that need to be given this training, we would be able to actually impact them.
Increasing investment and access to childcare facilities in informal and formal settlements provides options for families and supports women's financial inclusion and economic independence. There is need to develop a national childcare policy that will guide action at a county level, and there's also need to develop a standard national curriculum for training childcare givers to enable them have basic early childhood development and caregiving skills that will ensure quality care and growth for children between the ages of 0 to 3. My name is Rebecca Miruri Mulure.